Well, people have been asking, what's going on with this Disney tax write-off thing? All of this Disney Plus content is leaving. You have some people saying it can come back again, other people saying it can't. You've even got producers for shows claiming that, hey, Willow's not gone for good. Maybe one day we'll see it once more. Well, we've dug into the actual rules, laws, and protocols for all of this sort of thing. And we're going to tell you whether or not you'll ever see this Disney Plus content that's been cut return. We might even talk about the Star Cruiser. Hang tight. And folks, we are back yet again on the WDW Pro channel, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. And sometimes that requires us to go deep in the weeds, to dive into the minutia of financial rules and laws and taxation and other things. But we do it because we believe in all of you, and we believe that you want to know this sort of thing. We've had questions over and over about, can this content ever return? The stuff that Disney is essentially throwing away in an effort to save money and find the funds to purchase Hulu. And oddly enough, it is a second video day for Jonas J. Campbell. I think this is the first time that you've ever been on the channel twice in one day. Is that right, Jonas?
Oh, not twice in one day on the channel. Maybe twice in one day for a recorded video.
Possibly. And Jonas, not only is this your second video of the day, but you may be involved in quite the video tomorrow. You have been doing some investigative journalism, as that is your title for thatparkplace.com. And you have come across, I don't know how to say this, you have come across an earth-shattering revelation, potentially, about Lucasfilm that we plan to bring out tomorrow once we have done our due diligence and full research. So you're quite the fellow lately.
It's an interesting thing. Sometimes you look into things and you see that everything is as it seems. Sometimes you just go in looking to see, oh, I wonder if that thing that's going to happen in 6 months is going to happen. And then you see, oh my, there's something big going on here.
And then that's when the full team steps into action. We've had a number of experts in the area that we're investigating step in to help us with it. And we hope to bring that to everybody out there. But let's start off today with covering something that is on the minds of many, that being, is the content that's been cut from Disney Plus gone for good, or can the company return it at some point down the road? As we get into this, folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and stick it to those algorithms by clicking it. We're talking about the notification bell. Jonas, lead us through this issue of these write-downs, these impairments, tax write-offs. You've heard all the jargon, but now we need it explained to us. So take it away.
All right. First, a little context on this content for anyone who's coming in completely fresh that just wants to understand whether or not they're going to be able to see A Dog's Life, starring Bill Farmer, the lovely and
Voice
talented. Yes, exactly. I might have gotten the name of the series wrong there, but that doesn't mean we don't love you, Bill Farmer.
You know, Jonas, it's only apropos that when you mess something up involving Mr. Farmer that we all say, gorsh. All right, continue on.
Something's wrong here. Yeah. So Disney announced that they were going to take a $1.5 to $1.8 billion write-down or impairment on their content on Disney Plus.
Which now Jonas, based on the most recent numbers, I don't know if you saw that, now we believe it's $1.9 billion.
Well, to add some clarity to that, they went ahead and took 1.5, and before they did the difference there, which was going to be 0.3 billion, they said it's going to be approximately 0.4 billion. If someone were looking for the opportunity to get rid of 2 billion without making the headline 2 billion, they might shift it around a little bit and say approximately.
Exactly.
Because that's a big.
This is why we have you on the channel, Jonas, because that is exactly what I thought. That's what the audience should know. We suspect that it's somewhere in the range of 2 billion, but it sounds bad to say it. So Disney is being careful in the way they word things.
Right. So everything that goes through one of these SEC filings has been put through not only legal, but also communications. And Disney, and this is another reason that Bob Iger fit for so long at Disney, maybe not so much anymore. He's a master communicator. He is
king of charisma.
Yes, one of the greatest communicators on the planet. Uh, now, that being said, let's get down to the brass tacks of this situation.
I see what you did there with brass tacks. It's quite appropriate for the conversation. Go ahead.
Yep. When you write down something that is an asset of a company, what you're doing is lowering the value of that asset. In fact, I brought up an article here, which is from Investopedia, which is a great resource if you're looking to understand these concepts better. Now, I have business experience. I have more than a decade in corporate experience, and I've also consulted with another person with a vast amount of experience in this issue. So,
Well, are we allowed to say who it is that you've consulted with?
yeah, I think so. That's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
That would be the illustrious Mexican Iron Man, who has an incredible depth of knowledge and experience in corporate accounting and specifically in the entertainment business.
And it should be said that Mike has a funny name online, Mexican Iron Man, but he is not an individual who should be taken lightly. He knows his stuff, and he is a major player when it comes to accounting. We've also consulted, by the way, with Valiant Renegade, who again, that's a name that doesn't come across as, hey, I really know my stuff in finances, although he does. And if you watch his channel, you'll know that very clearly. But he also has consulted with us on this video. Neither of them were able to make it due to family stuff that they're up to, but here we are nevertheless to carry on. And Jonas, you're every bit qualified to do so.
Well, thank you very much. I do strive to be. Now, I will say that's the thing that slows us down. Not to toot our own horn here, but and I'm referring to all of us. If we don't understand a subject, we try not to speak on it, which slows you down a lot in a world that's based on clicks. That being said, let's talk about what an impairment is. An impairment, in accounting, impairment is a permanent reduction in the value of a company asset. It may be a fixed asset or intangible asset. In this case, we're talking about the value of Disney Plus content. What would have gone into this is the production value, all of the money they spent to make this content. I don't think the marketing amounts would have been included in this, but every dollar that they spent on this content would have been put towards the value of this content.
And let me see if I understand this as well, Jonas. What's happening here too is that there are studios that are contracted to create the content. They are contracted by another entity that exists in Disney. Disney owns both the studio, usually, and they own the company that is hiring that out. Let's say that it's Disney Plus, and that Disney Plus is hiring from Lucasfilm something. So therefore, the purchase is made from Lucasfilm by Disney Plus, all of it owned by Disney. So it's just shuffling money. But that's also what's happening in this, correct?
Yes. And I want to be clear that when that happens, there is something called transfer pricing, in which they come up with a reasonable value as to why all of the things they bought cost a certain amount of money. There can be a slight range in there that they can play with, but for the most part, what they're doing is making sure, especially as they cross country lines, that everything is stated at a fair market value. So if anybody's thinking, oh, there's corporate malfeasance here, I don't think there's corporate malfeasance in how much it's worth, except when it comes to this issue, and it's not corporate malfeasance. It is that they don't think it's as valuable as the number that they have on their books for. This is the value of, say, Willow. So
right.
Just to go through unless you want to throw something in there real quick.
No, go ahead.
Okay, just to go through this very quickly, the key takeaways here as we'll go through this. Impairment can recur as a result of an unusual or one-time event, such as a change in legal or economic conditions, a change in consumer demand, or damage that impacts an asset. That would be, I think in this case, we're going to go change in consumer demand and change in economic conditions. As they've said in many other instances here with like the Galactic Star Cruiser, a change in leadership or a change in economic conditions is what they use there. Change in consumer demand. They guessed at what the consumer demand would be for a lot of this Disney Plus content. So I think that's where they get the source for this. This is not the legal language here, but it's a good rule of thumb.
So Jonas, let's go to the big question that people have on their minds. When Disney removes this content and they use the impairment for a tax write-down, let's use Willow. We've already said Willow. So when they do that with Willow, can Willow ever be used by Disney again, as Jonathan Kasdan, the showrunner for that, suggested, and then was promptly rebutted by a Disney Plus official account on Twitter?
The answer, and any good accountant will tell you, it depends.
Perfect. That's clear.
Now, let's talk about the circumstances, and I have to thank Mexican Iron Man Mike for this specifically. It can come back if they follow a specific set of circumstances. If you are talking about 1.5 billion to say $2 billion worth of content, if you take a partial impairment to where there's still some value sitting there on the books, let's say $1,000, and even in this case, it could be something like $3 million, and it would still be under what we would call the threshold of materiality. That's the point at which nobody cares if you miss on the number. When you're talking about billion-dollar corporations and a company that has $160 billion, it's amazing for you and me to think that $1 million could be like, oh, that's a rounding error. We made a mistake. No big deal. We're not going to fix it this time because it's below the threshold of materiality. Amazing, but yes, that's where we are. Did that make sense?
It does, absolutely.
Okay, great. So if they take a partial impairment, they can reduce it to something small that still gets them most of the value that they're looking for in reducing the value of this asset. Say they take this $1.5 billion and take it to something small, like under 3 million, with an M. They still have the chance at that point that they could say, oh, well, we'll still put it on the service. It's not really worth what we thought it was going to be worth. We don't expect many people to watch it, so we could put it back on there. Now, that being said, the only implication if it goes back on there is that the IRS would say, hey, you took an impairment on this. You said it's worth nothing. How are you still making money off of it?
Right. And so would Disney then pay the impairment back if they wanted to bring that content back?
Only if they had written off the entire thing. They can make a bad guess. They can always say they could have never anticipated that people would be interested in watching Pick of the Litter, the show with a transgender dog breeder, or Marvel's Hero Project about the transgender boy or girl.
I have to laugh as you bring some of these up. But Jonas, okay, so then for the
I wish I could say that was made up. I wish I could say I didn't actually list 2 specific shows on the platform.
So for the near-term future, then, we suspect that these are not going to return, but long-term, out in the future, there is the possibility that some of this stuff could come back.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do we know if Disney did partial impairments or did they do full impairments on these items? Or is that unknown at this time?
We will never know because we will never be able to see the books.
There's a way we can know if it comes back. Then we know.
Well, yes, that is possible.
The little loophole there.
And also, they could say, well, maybe it's the assets, and they produced a new show using the assets, but the final show was the thing that was the product. This is really when you get into the weeds on the legality of it. Okay, well, we've got all this footage. We're going to re-edit it. Well, this is a completely different product.
All right, so let's go there then. And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but the Galactic Star Cruiser, the giant Renaissance fair in space LARPing bunker hotel that has failed at the Walt Disney World Resort, they're taking a massive write-down on this thing. What was it, $300 million because it's not going to be functioning for 2 quarters? So Jonas, can it come back? Can they retrofit it to something else? Can they make it into, let's say, a Guardians of the Galaxy Star Cruiser, perhaps?
Where did you hear that idea?
I don't know.
Yeah,
we have incredibly awesome commenters and viewers of this channel. I'll just say that.
Say it ain't so. This just in. Disney lost money on another movie. Why, that can't be. I thought that John Lasseter fella over at Pixar was cranking out the latest hits, and Marvel was unstoppable, and Disney princesses were a thing, and Star Wars was a multi-billion-dollar money-making franchise. I overheard you talking about Disney, and wanted to let you know you're really behind the ball. If you were getting great articles from thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel, you'd actually be ahead of the culture curve, and Have entertainment explained.
Well, I also mentioned that myself as well. I thought I was being original, but
Great minds think alike, Jonas. You and the viewers are on the same page, and perhaps some of them heard it from you. But I think that's a common thread that we're hearing now. People say, you know what, that actually could be something I'd go do.
Yeah, well, let's return to that here.
The baby Groot animatronic may be driving it as well.
Yes. So let's talk about two things. We'll talk about a completely different legal agreement that's very binding that a lot of people have a lot of questions about on the flip side of that. Okay, so with the Galactic Star Cruiser, it's a different thing. They're basically taking accelerated depreciation on the Galactic Star Cruiser because every single construction project ever takes depreciation at some rate. In the case of the Galactic Star Cruiser, they can't give back the building. They're not going to destroy the building. So they're basically taking many years worth of, well, they could destroy the building if they're really not going to do anything with it.
Right.
So they're basically taking it to zero. They will then have to start from that point, and whatever they do to reformat that building will become a different asset. Now, this is the area where this is the area where I have less knowledge, but assuming,
I think it's typically a 15-year depreciation. Is that what it typically is for physical assets?
I would have to double check. I didn't do construction depreciation very much, but 15 sounds fine.
What kind of crappy accountant were you, Jonas? How dare you come on this channel? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. How dare you not know every single thing about every single thing in the world?
I'm a creative accountant. That's the kind you want, a creative accountant.
That's right.
So basically, the depreciation is being taken all at once, and whatever they do to refit it, that will be charged basically to a new asset, and you'll have a new cycle of depreciation whenever you have whatever the new thing is.
I see, but they would have great difficulty simply reopening it as a dinner theater or as a one-day cruise, but it's still Star Wars. That would be difficult then.
Yeah, I think a company of this size is probably constantly under audit. Once you reach a certain threshold, it's not a punishment; it's just a fact of life that your books will be audited. And
that's why you get audited every year. Now I understand.
If you're getting audited every year,
I said you. It has nothing to do with those gold doubloons you have in the backyard. It's totally that you're that big.
Oh, the ones that say Cayman Islands on them?
Exactly. Or Cadbury, one or the other.
Now, the other thing, of course, is that Star Wars and Guardians of the Galaxy, people invoke those a lot together. And of course, this is the digression about the other agreement. The Guardians of the Galaxy are not covered under the agreement between MCA, the company that became Islands of Adventure, Comcast, Universal Studios, whatever you want to call it, and Marvel. So anything that was not covered in Marvel Superhero Island by a specific date is fair game east of the Mississippi, which is why Guardians of the Galaxy is at Epcot.
Exactly. Well, and so they could go to the hotel.
Exactly. So, and Guardians of the Galaxy, aesthetically speaking, it's not so far-fetched to think that there could be something that kind of looks like Star Wars in Guardians of the Galaxy.
You could at least have a better soundtrack playing on the speakers in the hotel.
Now, if you put a $6,000 price tag on it, you probably are going to reach the same issue.
Well, I would assume that your Rocket and Groot animatronics would be sufficiently expensive to escape any kind of issues there.
Right. No, I was talking about the $6,000 price tag of staying at the Galactic Star Cruiser. If they try those shenanigans again of trying to charge.
They'll try it again. Disney has not yet been weaned off the idea that they can suck as much money out of the wallets of rich people as possible. And they will definitely just go to a new franchise and be like, so those Star Wars folks aren't as what would you say, rich as we would like, but hey, you Marvel fans out there, you got some money, eh? Let's get at it.
Right. I think the problem there, of course, becomes the Venn diagram of Star Wars and Marvel fans and the willingness to pay for something.
Now, the media won't allow that. There are two distinct groups. The Star Wars fans are toxic and the Marvel fans are not. That's how the media presents it. We're not allowed to pretend that people can like both of those and that they're intertwined. How dare you, Jonas?
Man, this is going to be fascinating. I don't envy you the edit on this one. You can keep whatever you want in here, and I won't be embarrassed. It's totally fine.
It's okay, Jonas. It's okay. But so let's wrap this up, though. We have gone deep into the content, and I hope that it's explained it well to the audience out there. Folks, if you have questions, please drop a comment down below. We're happy to answer these and go farther into this. I suppose we'll watch the comments more closely than usual. This is more educational than usual in terms of us diving into very specific information regarding taxes. But Jonas, final thoughts on Disney and what they're up to. Of course, we know that this is based on their need to buy Hulu, essentially. But final thoughts, and then tell us where people can find you on this great, big, beautiful web.
Well, the short thing here is, if I've stated anything incorrectly, let me just tell you, I'm pretty close, and I'm willing to take the nuance in the comments. So please, bring it on. Help me learn. Let me
help me help you.
That's right.
Help me help you.
Also, if we're talking about $2 billion at Disney's last effective tax rate, ETR for short, we're talking about 30%. So 30% of $1 billion would be $30 million, right? Were we talking 300? 30, yeah. So we're talking 60. Oh my, I've gotten this all wrong.
Well, let's just do 2 billion, because 2 billion is essentially what they're trying to. Let's get away from the Star Cruiser. Let's just do the 2 billion on the media side.
Yeah, so we're so when it comes down to it, we're talking about $2 billion. So we're talking about basically 30% of $2 billion. And you guys can do the math in the comments about how much money that's going to actually save them on their tax bill. Also, if we're talking about how much money they really need, we're more in the $500 million range, as opposed to the $23 billion that Comcast is saying they want for their portion of Hulu. So this doesn't solve all of their problems, but it gets them a little bit of cash now. So maybe they can do something magical here to get to that $23 billion mark, because they've got a long way to go. If this is anywhere near the biggest thing they're doing, they're in deep, deep trouble. So this has to be the next step.
Or maybe, and perhaps this is the way the video should end. Perhaps this is the big thing everybody should take away from it. This is just the beginning. Jonas, where can people find you?
You can find me here on this channel, where I do like to go on. Or you can find me on That Park Place, where I like to do investigative reporting, or on the Pro Show, 5 to 7 on Thursdays. I do have my own YouTube channel where I like to investigate all the things that are woke about any company that's aiming content at, let's say, anyone underage right now, and just go through and point out all the little things that they want credit for, but they don't want the spotlight shown on them.
There you go. And folks, if you're not yet subscribed to Jonas, after this video, how could you not? The man is a fountain of knowledge. Of course, we do want to also give another shout out to Valiant Renegade and Mike, Mexican Iron Man, for their help on this video. And yeah, so I think this is just the beginning. Don't forget, we have the 20,000 subscribers celebration on this channel coming up this Saturday. If you're watching this video on the week that it debuts, this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we will be doing the giant celebration. We are overwhelmed with gratitude with all of you and the support that you've shown the channel. So we're going to have giveaways. We're going to have all kinds of fun guests. It's going to be a great, great time. And thank you to each and every one of you who supports us. Folks, if you want to support us, here's an idea. Drop a comment down below. We covet those comments, and never so much as on this video. We want to know your questions. We want to answer them. Throw us some curveballs. Let's see what we can do with that. And don't forget as well that we have a major video. We suspect, although we cannot promise, but we suspect that we will have a major video on Lucasfilm coming out 24 hours after this video. We have been doing quite a bit of work on it. Jonas discovered what we're potentially going to discuss, and we are doing our due diligence to do all the research with all of the experts that we need to bring this breaking exclusive story to you right here on the WDW Pro channel. I know you're going to want to watch it to find out what the journalist will be telling you about the next day. You'll hear it here first, though. So, folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. If you're not yet a member, it is the price of one soda each and every month, and we provide exclusive content each and every week. I think you'll enjoy. Hop on in. The water's fine. And, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, And Jonas, how does it go?
Keep having fun.
Fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.